Hey guys, welcome back to the Cult Classic Kids Show, and today we're talking about Lollipop Chainsaw REPOP because there is some interesting news, guys, and I don't know how you guys are personally going to take it, but this is interesting to say the least. Without further ado, let's jump right into the news because this is coming from VGC. Apparently, Lollipop Chainsaw REPOP will now be a remaster rather than a remake. Dragami Games says it has changed the game design based on community requests. So people in the community, fans of this game, have requested Dragami Games to not remake the game, but rather to remaster it instead. So that's interesting, man. It's interesting that, first off, that they actually listened to community feedback, but the fact that the community actually wanted what would be considered, I guess, a quote-unquote downgrade. But Lollipop Chainsaw REPOP will now be a remaster as opposed to a remake, according to Dragami Games. We have changed the game design of REPOP from remake to remaster based on your request, said studio founder Yoshimi Yasuda. And it's one of those things where, in a perfect world scenario, I really do feel like a remake of Lollipop Chainsaw would be awesome. Unfortunately, guys, we don't live in a perfect world, so I understand this sentiment of people really don't want things in Lollipop Chainsaw to be changed. It is a very fan service heavy game that is badass in its own right. It's not just all fan service. It's very unique game in its own right. It is weird that this is a game that's being remade in, to be released in 2024, or now admittedly a remaster. But initially a remake of this game was a very strange announcement. And I can see why they're going this route. I think it's better that they do go in this route, sadly. I used to be excited for remakes of games, but the more remakes come out, the more these remakes tone things down, the more the idea of a remake is disappointing, sadly. It's rare when a remake really follows the original vision as closely as it should. So this being downgraded from a remaster, to a remaster, is not necessarily surprising to me. It's not surprising to me that the community that loves this game would prefer a remaster as opposed to a remake. But they continue on. Without further clarification, it's impossible to say that this was what this actually means for the title, although it could be that Dragami intends for it to be more closely resemble the original than what was previously planned. Yoshida was formerly the CEO of Kadogawa Games, which published Grasshopper manufactured titles Lollipop Chainsaw and Killer is Dead in Japan. He was also executive producer on both titles. He left Kadogawa last year to form Dragami Games before announcing that one of its first projects would be a Lollipop Chainsaw remake. And this is Yoshida right here saying, "We have changed the game design of REPOP from remake to remaster based on your requests." So that's interesting. I wonder if this will move up the, internal release date. There's no confirmed release date other than the year being next year. So if I'm not mistaken, unless it was, I do recall them saying August. So I could be wrong, and I think it might have been August, but of next year. If I'm wrong on that, please correct me. But I wonder if this will speed up the process of this game coming out. So that's an interesting thought. But I think that, and I could be completely wrong, guys, I have no insider knowledge of what was being planned for Lollipop Chainsaw Remake, now remaster, but I feel as though this game from the very jump was aiming to be a sort of Destroy All Humans-like remake, where they retain a lot of things from the original game, particularly the very similar gameplay, maybe even the same audio dialogue, just like Destroy All Humans. It is like completely visually remade Destroy All Humans 1 and 2, but the gameplay feels exactly the same. The game retains the original, both games, mind you, retain the original dialogue. I think they were aiming for a remake along those lines. Honestly, it's hard to consider what exactly Destroy All Humans 1 and 2 remake is, because it does take from the original source, the original games, while adding this really visually stunning new like layer over it. So to me, I really enjoy those remakes because they are so close to the original that I can't complain. Like they did such a good job. Games like those that kind of have the type of humor that Destroy All Humans has, it becomes concerning when they do get a remake because of the types of discussions that are in them, like the crude humor, stuff like that. And they really did an amazing job. And shout out to the people just behind the Destroy All Humans 1 and 2 remakes. I'm thoroughly happy with those. But I felt as though maybe Lollipop Chainsaw remake was going to be something along those lines. I think that, they're still retained, like, what makes it easy to turn this, remake into a remaster is because they were probably taking a lot of the assets from the original game itself and maybe doing something similar to Destroy All Humans. That's my general thought process when I'm looking at what they're talking about here. I could be completely wrong. At the end of the day, I don't make video games. All I do is play them and hope to enjoy them, but I am completely fine with this. I'm still very much excited for the game. And they continue. Some aspects of the announcement include what it would have, that it would have a new soundtrack, a more artistic art design. Wow. And the original creative director, Pseudo51, and co-writer James Gunn wouldn't be involved in the project, left some fans worried. Yoshida attempted to address some of these issues last summer, saying the primary goal of the Lollipop Chainsaw remake project is to make it so that players who wish to play Lollipop Chainsaw can do so easily. And I do support that entirely. Not to make a new Lollipop Chainsaw game. So it is confirmed apparently that it will have a new soundtrack. Now that, guys, no doubt is a downgrade. It doesn't matter what music they include. That is what it is. It's sad that that is the case. Including a new soundtrack is no doubt a downgrade. So that's probably definitely, that's something I've been concerned with the entire time in regards to just getting updates on this remake / remaster. One, obviously, potential censorship. Two, the awesome soundtrack. Will it come back? And unfortunately, I guess this confirms it that we are not getting the Lollipop Chainsaw soundtrack. And, I think I understand, I mean, look at, it's one thing, like, for example, with a game like this, it's such a small game in scope. It's something that's probably not going to make an insane amount of money. So I can kind of like give this game like leeway. It sucks, obviously, that there's no remaster, but I get what it is. It's this licensed material. This is licensed music. Some really great licensed music. I can understand the cost of it. It is super disappointing. It's when like companies like Rockstar do not bring back, music to GTA, a game, a franchise that literally prints money, where it pisses me off. It's like, I don't understand. You guys are going to print money and you choose not to do the right thing. Here, it's more like you have to have tempered expectations. This is a game that is really for a niche audience. It's a cult classic game, so I can kind of understand that. It's disappointing. Does it necessarily make me not want to play the game? No, it doesn't, but it does suck, which is why I do support emulation, especially if you do already own the game and want to play it at a higher frame rate. So just saying, that is the situation that I personally am in. But he says, of course, the ideal thing to do would be to make a remaster version of the original game, changing nothing. However, we were unfortunately unable to include 16 of the licensed songs, which were a great part of the original game's feel. Yes, the soundtrack is one of the most important things to this game. So, oh man, this hurts me. This hurts me, and I know this is going to hurt a lot of people in the community. They said, so we are instead aiming for a remake that is as close as possible to a remaster. This is the fine line, guys. I think that we now understand what we're getting. So I'm curious, guys. Real talk. It seems like the game, at least from what I'm hearing, what they are saying, the game is going to retain everything that made the original game great, but the soundtrack. Everything else seems to be retained as is. Maybe new stuff added, maybe. I can't say for sure, but no soundtrack. Are you guys gonna get this game? Are you guys gonna support it? It could be worse, guys. Is it great? No. Is it good? Potentially, yes. At least from what they're trying to explain to us here. Is this worth buying? Based on the font, this is what the line is. So I'm interested to see what you guys think about that. They go on to say, addressing concerns that the plot may be changed, he added, we believe that Lollipop Chainsaw's story is a huge part of what fans love about the original game, and we, the development staff, feel the same. As such, the story will not be changed in the remake, so they're confirming it. The story is what it is. Yoshida also referred to fan concern that in his original announcement, he said the remake would have a more realistic approach to the graphics this time. And I do recall them saying that back when they originally announced this game. And they said the mention of how the game will have a more realistic look in the previous announcement was meant to refer to how we will make use of the advanced rendering technology available in current game consoles, he explained. We do not wish to change Juliet's design, and the assumption that we want to is baseless. I mean, look, you can't ignore the fact that people do, and obviously, in Japan, they speak different. They think differently from us in America. But when we hear people use things, we're going to take a more realistic approach. We immediately panic because in America, particularly game devs, when they tend to use this language, they tend to mean, well, we're going to make the game less fan servicey. We're going to take away the little things that get the game over with the crowd. We're going to take those things away and inherently ruin the original vision, the original charm of a game that they choose to remake. That tends to be the case. In Japan, I don't think that that's the case. Obviously, there's some things in Japan that are they have their own culture over there. So in America, when we hear that, we're scared for good reason, because this has led to down the path of ruining some great franchises, guys. So, yes, we do not wish to change Juliet's design, and the assumption that we want to is baseless. We were the ones who created Juliet's model data after great trial and error 10 years ago and feel attached to her more than anyone else. And that's great to hear. That is always a positive thing to hear. Said finally, Yoshida addressed worries that the game's sexualized content may be censored for today's audiences by suggesting that there's no intention to censor the game. Love to hear it. We have not yet discussed the issue with the platform holders yet, and thus cannot say anything about the topic, he said. But what we can say is that we intend to negotiate with the platform holders to make it so the game can be as close to the original version as possible. And the fact that they actually have to negotiate this with freaking PlayStation, Xbox, Steam doesn't seem to give shit. I mean, obviously, Steam, you could put AO games on there, but the one thing, assuming the worst, because PlayStation definitely, they are the worst when it comes to this sorts of stuff. Unless it's their game, but if the game does get censored, I at least hope that there's no parity across the platforms, because I would prefer to buy this on Steam, and well, Steam doesn't care, whereas PlayStation likely will care. So I just hope that the better version will end up on the better platform. Let's be real now. It said in August, the final name of the game was announced alongside news that Lollipop Chainsaw REPOP had been delayed from this year to 2024. So this gives us a very detailed explanation as to what we're getting here. At this point, there's no more questioning. We know what it is. Are you guys still interested in the game? I think that's an interesting topic of discussion. Am I personally interested in the game still? Yes. Is it going to be awesome? Not awesome. Potentially good, fun still. But this is it's one of those things where there's some great things I'm hearing, and I like that, but it is a bit soured by the fact that the soundtrack is not going to be there. And I get it, you know. This is a small company. This is a small game. It'd be different if it was, you know, like I said, Rockstar, a big major corporation that shouldn't have to worry about these particular money issues. But we're dealing with a small company, a niche game. So I understand, even though it is in fact disappointing. Let me know what you think about this, guys. If you can, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me over on Twitter or Kick if you'd like to continue this conversation. If you can, hit the bell notification. Less than 20% of my subs actually get notified of when my videos go out. So if you've watched this long, well, I'm sure that you want to get my videos when they do happen to go live. And obviously I make videos, so I'd like for you to see my videos. So equivalent exchange, guys. Hit the bell notification. Consider becoming a channel member. I make members only YouTube videos, as well as you get instant access to the Discord. Any basic membership gets you those things. And guys, with all being said, I'm out. Peace.